The meeting of the Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee to order today is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. I'm detecting a quorum with myself, council members Cash, Druffel, Evans, Johnston, Rutherford, and Sepulveda present. Pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated 844-112, time is reserved for public comment on legislation items appearing on this agenda. Members of the public wishing to speak may sign up on the council committee sign-up sheet posted outside the room where the committee is scheduled to meet. And there was nobody signed up to speak today. We'll get started with the consent agenda. So all resolutions on the first section, so RS 2024, 684, 700, 701, 702, and 703 are currently on consent. Is there anything that any council member wishes to remove from consent? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? So we go. 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Next we have bills on second reading, which is actually, let me back up really quickly. For the record, the bills on consent, number 1, RS 2024-684 is a resolution approving the elections and the elections of certain notaries public for Davidson County. RS 2024-700, a resolution commemorating the 10th anniversary of the partner city agreement between the Metropolitan government of Nashville and Davidson County and the capital city of the state of Tennessee and the city of Kamakura, Japan. RS 2024-701, a resolution honoring the 55th Nashville Film Festival. RS 2024-702, a resolution celebrating the 20th anniversary of Mending Hearts. RS 2024-703, a resolution recognizing September as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And those are all the resolutions that were on consent. So now bills on second reading, which is RS 2024-476, sponsored by Councilmember Porterfield, an ordinance to amend Chapter 2.112 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws regarding the membership of the Metropolitan Nashville Arts Commission and the process for approving the criteria for awarding grants. Do we have a motion?
So moved. I move a one-meeting deferral to take into account the special meeting on September 11th to discuss the matter.
All right, the motion is for a one-meeting deferral. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Councilmember Porterfield, Chair Porterfield, do you wish to speak on this at all?
Yes, thank you so much, Chair, and congratulations on your chairmanship. Thank you so much, Councilmember Johnston, for moving a one-meeting deferral. As Councilmember Johnston said, we do have a special call meeting on the 11th at 4 p.m. To discuss. Some council members have expressed a desire to see more oversight when we are allocating funds, so we will discuss that on September the 11th. So we did defer one meeting in Budget and Finance, and I would appreciate your support for a one-meeting deferral here.
Yep. Second.
All right, so the motion is for one meeting deferral, properly seconded. Is there any other comments on this matter? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for a one-meeting deferral. Thank you, Councilmember Porterfield. Next, we have a late filed bill. It's BL 2024-458, sponsor Harrell. An ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by changing from AR to A and R8 to SB zoning for property located at 6103 Mount View Road at the northwest corner of Hamilton Church Road and Mount View Road, 22.18 acres to permit 92 single-family lots, all of which is described herein. So Councilmember Harrell is present. What's the nature of this late file?
There's a few things. There was a
technology issue. We have been communicating with planning the week of the 26th, and at some point my email stopped going through and I wasn't aware. And we were waiting on a particular road. We had the wrong road, and so we had to correct those, and we wanted to make sure that we put this on paper prior to approving on third reading.
And I know you said that there was a tech issue, but was there any way that this could have been timely filed?
Well, that was the attempt. And then it was just after that, the liaison that I was working with, they were no longer in office. So we resumed communication Monday.
And then I'm going to go to Special Counsel Darby, if you have any insight into this as well, or no? Okay. Any discussion from the committee, or Councilmember, or former Chair Sepulveda?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think I've been pretty consistent on late filed legislation, and if it could wait a meeting, I think, I know that you've tried your best, but would there be an issue if it was timely filed for the next meeting?
So I could do that. If that's the recommendation, absolutely. I deferred it previously because we wanted to make sure that this language was on there. So this is my second deferral. But if that's the recommendation, I would speak to the developer and let them know what's going on. But they are aware that we're working on it.
Okay. For myself to be consistent with the rest of the council members that have appeared before the Rules Committee, then I would have an issue with it being late filed.
Yeah, would a one meeting deferral of this legislation affect the trajectory of this project in your district?
Yes and no. If there is a timeline in mind, but due to what we're asking of them, there's other things that have to go into play. So if we were to push back 1 week, in some instances it may help the conversation because this is an ongoing issue.
Any discussion from the committee?
Just add one other thing, if I may. Just having a lot of experience in dealing with zoning matters, I know that it's very commonplace that you see deferrals through the zoning process, and often multiple deferrals. So I would think in this case, just waiting for it to be timely filed should be no big deal.
And if public hearings usually on second reading, and we're at the first, that's tonight, so if it's timely filed by the next we still gets it on track to be on public hearing on the first meeting in October.
We already had the public hearing.
Oh.
Third reading.
Yeah, this is third and final reading.
Oh, amendment, I am so sorry. Never mind.
Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. We'll do by hands. Those in favor of a suspension of the rules to allow for the late filed amendment, all those in favor? So 3 in favor. Those against? 4 against, and 0 not voting. So we don't recommend suspending the rules. Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, so now we will move into the boards and commission appointees and nominee portion. So candidates in this category will appear before the Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee to determine the relative qualification of candidates. And so first up on for this evening, we have the Agricultural Extension Board appointment of Jeffrey Easel for a term expiring on August 13th, 2027. Councilman, yes, Councilmember.
Sorry, Chair, congratulations again. I was wondering if the rule change can move forward so I can get your announcements. If it's at the very end, before, if that's okay.
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate. Yeah, so we'll take up that matter first. So we'll move to the end of the agenda, item 24, which is a proposed amendment to Rule 28.1 by Councilmember Suara. The proposed amendment to the rule change. Do I need to read this into the record, or?
You don't need to read the full rule, but to read the rule number.
Okay. So yes, this is a proposed amendment to Rule 28.1 of the Rules of Procedure of the Council. Let's get this before us first. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Councilmember Suara.
Thank you, Chair. I do have a substitute.
And move the substitute. Second.
Thank you. And so what the substitute does is that, as some of you know, I filed the rule amendment as a way to stop out-of-town people from addressing council. But since filing it, I've had a lot of conversation. One of the concerns is that we do have people that don't live in the county but work here. We also were very concerned about our on-house population, our undocumented population, and just making sure that in trying to keep out the outsiders, that we did not close the doors on our own constituents. And so what I did was I reached out to several organizations that work with on-house population, that work with undocumented, that work with everybody, and then I talked to Ms. Darby, and so what we decided to do is to actually make it Tennessee residents. Part of the reason is that you can be a Metro employee, but you don't have to work here. You don't have to live here as long as you live in Tennessee. It also makes it easy for the staffer to check it, so that way you're not looking at addresses and trying to figure out whether it's in Davidson County or not. So if it's a Tennessee residency, then the driver's license will count. You can also use your work ID. So if you have a job here, you can use your work ID. For on-house people, we find out that a lot of people get their emails or get their mails at Room in the Inn, and so that would count. We're also looking at service document from organizations that serve them. That would be something that we're looking at. Utility bill, anything that shows proof of residency or work here or working here is what we're looking at. We also have a language in there that says that the list that we have is not exhaustive, and so the staff will still be able to look at it if someone presents something that is not on the list. And the final thing that the substitute does is that we do not want to keep this information on record, so we're just going to look at it and give it back. We're not going to keep it anywhere. And so with that, I move the substitute and I have asked for your approval.
Any discussion from the committee?
Yeah, I have one. How would this impact someone who has maybe financial interest that they're looking to bring to the city? Maybe somebody who's looking to relocate a business coming before us to talk about that. Would that prevent that?
If there's a bill specific to, this does not include public hearing, right? This is public comment. And so if you have a bill, a zoning bill, a business bill, then you can speak to that. And that's a different category entirely. So that does not impact that. But if you're new and you're just in town for a day and just want to speak before us, you don't live here, you don't work here yet, then you won't be able to do it. But if you have a business, you can speak before us. But until you do, no, you won't be able to.
Go to Cashman Swalda.
I guess I'm curious if this is a response to what happened a couple of meetings ago with some out-of-state visitors that you quite ably took care of. I don't have a huge problem with this, but I want to be careful about, changing rules because of one situation. Are there other situations in mind that?
No, but I do want you to think about what it felt like sitting up there and those people trying to push their way in to speak. And think about all the hate that they were going to spew in front of a camera to our residents, against our residents, and we give them the platform. I think that's a big reason not to allow it. And so that was what calls for it. That was the main reason, and it's a way, people are saying we need to respond. We don't have to give people platform that we don't have to. We have to listen to our constituents. We owe the people that work here, that live here, to listen to them. But people from out of state, we don't have to give them that platform, and this is within our rights to do that.
So I want to make sure that we don't create more barriers than we need to. So does it have to be like a physical form, or can a picture count?
So in talking to all the organization, because we have a very long list of what is acceptable, everybody will find something. So you could use your library card, you could use your utility bill, you could use your lease agreement, whatever it is that makes you show that you are here, school ID, all of that will be exhaustive. So everybody will be able to find something to use.
My main concern is someone wouldn't know about the rule change, right? Show up to public comment, find out the day of. If they are undocumented, maybe they have an ID from their home country, but they don't have like paperwork with them and they're unable to speak. So, but maybe they have a picture of something else on their phone that could count.
So I hope that we get this information out as much as possible, and I'm counting on my colleagues to get it out as much as possible. But one of the caveats that we put there on the substitute is that we're now making the list exhaustive. So it doesn't mean that if you present something that is outside of the list, it will not be considered. We're leaving it to the staff member to look at what you present and see whether it meets the criteria. So I'm hoping that whoever is going around will have something in their car, in their purse, a gas receipt bill that shows they just bought gas, something that can show that they live here. And so, but we made the list so long and we talked to everybody to give us example, but we still said, look, even though this is a long list, we will still leave a statement in there that says the staff member will be able to still judge. So here I am with Councilmember Sepulveda at a birthday party, but I don't have a, maybe that will count, I don't know. That's a bad joke. But we wanted to be, we thought about not creating a barrier for our people, and that's why we talked to the organization, we talked to everybody. And one thing that we're going to also push for is make sure that we push it out and we let everyone know as much as possible that it's a very long list. It's going to be difficult not to have something in that list.
Special Counsel Darby, given the language of the substitute, is it fair to say that the council office would have the broad leeway and discretion to be able to make a determination?
There would be a lot of discretion placed on the council member, the council office staff member who is manning the table to, to check proof of residency. So, we would have the long list and that will be, if this passes, we will put that into the, we have an online kind of FAQs, what to know before you come down here to speak at public comment. So that will be available to members of the public to review. If the list is not exhaustive, it would be up to a staff member, and we will have to have a considerable amount of training to kind of go over that. This rule also will require a staff member to man the table, whereas currently we don't have that. And then the other issue potential is for committee meetings. When a person comes in to speak at a committee meeting, because we cannot have staff members manning the sign-up sheets for the committee meetings, it would be up to each chair to determine how to check that proof of residency.
And during the conversation with Madam Council, one of the things that I suggested is that every committee has a vice chair. And so let's leave it to the vice chair to check that for the 2 or 3 people that signed up. And I think that should not, hopefully that's not a lot. But I just think that, I guess for me, just removing that platform is very important, but we also want to do everything that we can to not make it difficult for our people as well.
I was just going to say that I think some of it feels like it could be an administrative burden, but I'm willing to support it with the potential that we may need to revert back if it ends up becoming something that's a pain for the staff members or for the committees or whatever.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. At least we'll try it out, and I know that Ms. Debbie and I talk about it. The good thing about this is that we have a window for people to sign up. And so it's an hour before announcement, before the meeting starts. And so that's just the 1 hour window that we're looking at. So the staff is not doing that throughout the day. But she reluctantly said yes. But I'm glad that we're willing to try it out.
We'll go Councilmember Johnston and then Trump.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, how often are we having an issue with people outside of Tennessee coming to speak at our public comment period?
But we don't know though. I mean, we don't know, and I think that the issue was not people outside coming to speak that's void, is the messaging and the hate, right? And so we were not checking before. So this is the first time we say we have to start checking. So I cannot give you data to say we've had outsider before. We may have, but we don't have any data to say it's X number. We don't know that. We don't have that information until now.
I just wonder if we're trying to solve a problem, but it's not necessarily gonna solve the problem and create more problems from an administrative burden. I mean, I get what you're trying to fix. I get that. I just don't know that this is necessarily gonna do it. I think I would probably rather look at hate speech and banning hate speech. I mean, it's one thing to come and address the council on legislative matters or concerns that people have in their community that they just want to put before us and things like that. But when people are coming in specifically to spew hate, I think that's pretty identifiable. Ms. Darby, is that, I mean, so then you get into free speech and all that, but, I just don't know that this is gonna solve the problem. I know the incident we're talking about, or I guess there was multiple, but I don't know that they were from outside of Tennessee. I think they live around here. I don't know.
We're out.
Yeah.
I don't think we don't know what we don't know. And I sort of agree with Councilor Evans in this regard is, let's give it a shot and ask the director to come back with this, whoever's administrating this. If this becomes an issue or there's something that's impactful, to bring that back to us if we have to adjust. That's my position. So I agree with it, but let's monitor it closely.
I'll also just add to the discourse that I think that it's really crucial that we prioritize the voices of the people who are the most directly affected by the decisions and the votes that we take, and making sure that they get precedence and a priority in the way that we're administering public comment and hearing their speech. So I think that this is a mechanism that can achieve that specific goal that is well within our purview. Are there any other comments from the committee? Okay, so the motion on the floor is to approve this substitute. It's been properly seconded. So those in favor of adopting the substitute onto the larger bill, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. So the bill is as substituted. So any discussion on the bill as substituted? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? So 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. We recommend approval. Thank you, Councilman. Okay, so now we move to boards and commissions. Agenda item number 8, the Agricultural Extension Board appointment of Jeffrey Easel for a term expiring on August 13th, 2027. Mr. Easel, if we could...
There's the chair.
Yeah, if we could put that chair in the center. Is Mr. Easel here? Oh, okay. Somebody grab him. Yeah, could somebody grab him? Yeah. Yeah. On deck is Jason Evans.
He needs to be deferred for one meeting.
Yes.
I move the deferred.
Right, so agenda item 9, Civil Service Commission appointment of Jason T. Evans for a term expiring on March 31st, 2025. The motion is that he's deferred one meeting. Do we have a second?
Second.
Right, moving properly seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for one meeting.
Nice
Almost there. Okay, then turn right.
Turning right.
Okay, you're almost there. Almost there. Almost there. There we go. And then there's a chair. I'm gonna put it in front of the chair.
Incredible.
Turn around. No, over here on this side.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
We're gonna get it.
Thank you.
How's it going?
Doing well. Mr. Easel, thank you for being here. Would you like a bus pass or a parking validation?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
And are you a registered voter?
Yes.
Perfect. So you're being appointed to the Agriculturalist Extension Board. Tell us a little bit about why you want to be appointed to this specific board.
Well, it is relevant to my current work and past experience. I used to teach the education programs for a division of Public Works related to waste and recycling, composting, gardening, all of those sorts of things, and having a positive effect on the environment and the communities around here, and the organizations who strive to positively affect our environment locally is of great interest to me. So.
I had a question on the top of my head, but I can't. Will you be able to meet the time commitment for this?
Yes.
Perfect. And then, so as part of the qualifications for this commission under Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 4950-106, it has a couple of additional qualifications. So are you currently engaged in the business of soliciting or selling fertilizer, seed, or farm equipment within Davidson County?
My company makes compost, which is used by local farmers and gardeners. So I guess you would say yes.
Okay.
Can we ask Ms. Darby
Yeah, Director
if
Darby.
they've looked into that? Because he did actually put this on his questionnaire on a possible conflict. Was that researched by the mayor's office before
I don't,
this appointment?
I do not know if it was researched by the mayor's office.
And would compost count as fertilizer per se?
Yeah. I didn't look up the definition of fertilizer under this code section.
I've often referred to it as a natural organic fertilizer, though technically it's more of a soil amendment, but then I think we're splitting hairs.
I'm just wondering if TCA, when they're talking about, I guess the point is they're asking, do you benefit from a contract with Metro, but how could that be abused in this particular appointment?
Yeah.
Do you do business with Metro?
Well, it's funny. So the compost company, the main thing that we do is collect and recycle food waste. We do have a collection contract with Metro, like we have containers at this building. So while we collect and recycle food waste, the resulting, compost is distributed to local farmers, gardeners, landscapers, contractors. We've given some compost to projects with water services, but we've never actually, we don't contract with the city for the sale of compost
Okay.
So.
or mulch or anything like that, because the brush contract is with a company called Living Earth.
Yeah, because you were clearly qualified for this position. I think that you would be an amazing asset on this board and commission, given your experience and your knowledge of this area. I think this specific issue with Tennessee, with state law, and whether or not we run afoul of that is something that we need a little more direction on.
We could always take
Yeah.
a vote, and we do
Yeah,
have
because we have the
a
We got the 2
deferral.
weeks.
Use
So-
that window, yep.
Let's do that.
So I would move approval pending the research of this particular possible conflict, and if nothing comes up, then you will be appointed, and if there is, someone will reach out to you.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Thank
Before we take up that motion, any other questions from the committee for?
Just like I want to make sure I understand from what we just talked about. Like usually today the vote, since we have this 2-week gap now, today is the vote to just kind of move it forward. But in 2 weeks we would have another vote. It wouldn't be like it just stands. We would have another vote, and we could do so after we learned what
Correct.
Right.
research. Okay.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay, so the motion is to approve. It's been properly seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? So 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thanks so much, Mr. Eagle. Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, next up, we have the Health Board appointment of Dr. Morgan McDonald for a term expiring on November 1st, 2027. Dr. McDonald, thank you for being here. Would you like a parking pass or would you like a parking validation or a bus pass? Dr. McDonald, are you a Davidson County resident?
I am.
Okay. And this is a reappointment or?
Yeah, it's an initial one.
Okay, an initial one. Davidson County resident, are you registered to vote?
I am.
Okay. And tell us why you want to be appointed to the Board of Health.
I'm a primary care doctor by training, have had quite a lot of experience in public health, and have worked alongside the Nashville Public Health Department for a number of years, and have quite a lot of respect for the work that they do, and want to be of service in assisting them and strengthening the department in any way that I can.
And so, one of the things that I appreciate about your resume and questionnaire is you talked a lot about health equity, and your specific position deals with health equity. I'm curious as to, from your position, what are some of the challenges that Davidson County currently faces as far as like advancing health equity and health in all policies standpoint?
A number of challenges. So my background is in obviously public health leadership specifically around health equity. I think we in Davidson County obviously have a number of challenges. One of those is in community engagement, and that begins with community trust. And so the health department has been very invested in building trustworthy relationships, and at the same time, I know has been investing in additional resources to be able to do that better. Obviously, funding is an ongoing challenge from an equity perspective, and being able to fund environments where all people can thrive. You need to have community engagement to understand what that is, and you need to have community engagement in implementing evidence-based policies and then in evaluating those policies. Brief answer, but...
No, I can appreciate a brief and succinct answer, so thank you for that. Do you have any concerns about meeting the time commitment for being on this board?
I do not.
Any questions from the committee? Councilmember Sepulveda.
Thank you, Chair. We had someone come before us at the last meeting, and one of the things that I stressed was the need to bring in more resources and outreach for new arrivals and the immigrant community as a whole. There is also the population of indigenous people who have become a growing population here in the city, and we haven't even begun to address concerns there when it comes to outreach. And so if appointed to this board, I would just stress the need to, not push that community to the side. And I do appreciate the work you have done in the immigrant community that you have stated in your questionnaire. But I would be remiss if I don't reiterate that.
Certainly support that, thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? Yes, Councilmember.
Thank you for being interested in serving at the Board of Health. I really appreciate your background, and I guess you'll have a lot of influence over the next director of the Board of Health. And so based on your experience, having worked with the board, worked with the health department, and then also served kind of at that state level as well, have you had any experience with opportunities for improvement that you might try to influence, if you're appointed?
I'm not sure if there's specific opportunities for improvement that you're referring to. I mean, I think there's always, certainly with a new director, setting up really good communication between the Board of Health and the director, and then the director and the state, the director and the community. I think all that we can do as a board to help really facilitate those relationships, because good policy is built on good relationships. So that's where I would.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of the Health Board appointment of Dr. Morgan McDonald, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any not voting? So 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thanks so much, Doctor.
In the publications, I don't know. Need another pages.
Yeah. Next up is the Metropolitan Department, the Metropolitan Development and Housing for Housing Agency Board appointment of Brittany Campagna for a term expiring on November 5th, 2028.
Hello.
Hi, Ms. Campagna. Thank you for being here. Would you like a bus pass or a parking validation?
Oh, parking validation would be great. Thank you for pronouncing my name correctly.
Oh, I do my best.
That's few and far between.
Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and are you currently registered to vote?
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about why you want to be appointed to MDHA.
Well, I own a commercial real estate investment advisory firm, and I think that I can be helpful in the commercial real estate space where MDHA may need advisory.
Fair enough.
Before I owned my own firm, I worked at a global top 5 corporation, Davidson Young. Our office was in the Gulch. And so I've got a plethora of experience in commercial market deals.
Awesome. Perfect. So one thing that I noted on your background is experience with financial literacy and sort of advisory, and that I think that's one of the things where we can be really of service with folks at MDHA, and I'm curious as to whether or not you have any positions with regards to things that MDHA can do better with regards to providing those services, and whether or not you would support a program at MDHA which would begin reporting on-time rent payments to credit agencies to help start building people's credit.
So, to answer your question, yes, but I also have a question.
Yes.
Do you mean for commercial spaces or for residential spaces?
So for residential spaces, just for...
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions from the committee? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to... oh, wait, let me back up. Will you be able to meet the time commitment?
Yes, because I own my own firm, this would be part of my workday.
Perfect. And then with your background and sort of what you've spoken about, would you be committed to promoting equity within the administration of MDHA?
Yes.
Perfect.
I'd be glad to.
All right. Any other questions? All right, we'll go to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next we have the MDHA board appointment of the Honorable Colby Sledge for a term expiring on...
Well, come on.
Not
I'm
so
with you,
honorable, yeah. For a term expiring on January 5th, 2027. Would you like a parking validation or a bus pass?
Unfortunately, I have to take a parking validation today.
Which I
know will get me grief.
Are you currently a Davidson County resident? And are you currently registered to vote?
I am.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about why you want to serve with the MDHA.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. So as colleagues who I've worked with know, I had a particular focus on housing during my time on the council, served on the Housing Trust Fund Commission for 6 years. The district that I represented, that Councilmember Vo also has the privilege of representing, has a lot of MDHA properties. So I was in a lot of contact with MDHA and its leadership in my time on the council. I currently work for a national nonprofit, Grounded Solutions Network, where we work on lasting affordability in cities across the country. In fact, one of my former colleagues was a predecessor on this board, on the MDHA board, so we do have kind of a through line there. So I have a lot of interest in expanding our capacity when it comes to lasting and permanently affordable housing here.
And my first question will be the same that I asked Ms. Campagna as it relates to providing increased services as far as financial literacy and advisory goes for those whom MDHA services, and initiating a program to where MDHA begins to report those on-time rent payments, because one of the things that the homeowners benefit from is their mortgage payments are reported to credit agencies, which increase their credit over time. But for renters, and specifically those within public housing, that's not a benefit that they are receiving, even though oftentimes rent payments can exceed mortgage payments. So is that something that you would support initiating?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, my family recently, we we're in the midst of a transition of our own housing-wise, and we were in multifamily housing for almost a year. And it was encouraged within the private sector to sign up for those services to build your credit that way. And so we obviously have the opportunity in the private sector to say, this is a tool that's worth using to build your credit with your on-time rent payments. That same service should be offered to folks in our MDHA properties.
And will you be able to meet the time commitment?
Yes, I will. I work remotely, so my organization will be flexible and supportive. So,
Any questions from the committee? I'm going to start with Chair Sepulveda, or Chair Porterfield.
Thank you for recognizing me, even though I'm not on the committee. I will be super brief. I just wanted to stand in support of Councilmember Sledge. I had the opportunity, I won't even say opportunity, I had the honor of working beside him for 4 years during our 2019 to 2023 term, and you will be very hard pressed to find another person that is committed to affordable housing, who's as knowledgeable about affordable housing as he is. He will be a great asset. I stand in full support, and I encourage you all to support. And thank you so much for rendering your service and your expertise to us, Kobe. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Former Chair Sepulveda.
Okay. Forgot what I look like. Thank you, Chair. Just a question, Council Member. In your experience being on the other side as a council member and now potentially being appointed to this board, where do you feel we still have some more work to do? What is it that you want to accomplish while serving on this board?
yeah, thank you. So there are, I think, a couple of sort of big opportunities and issues out there in the housing space for MDHA. One of which is we still have a pretty sizable allotment under our fair cloth allotment of what we can build. We can add up to, well, very close to 1,000 units that we haven't built currently with MDHA. That doesn't mean you just build a couple of 500-unit buildings necessarily. We have scattered site properties all over the county, many of which that are end of life, meaning that they've been 50, 60, 70 years old, and we have the opportunity to densify within, quite frankly, communities that are close to all the kinds of services that we would all hope that housing is close to, like transit, food access. And we need to be looking at those sites in a way that where it makes financial sense for MDHA, but where it also makes a lot of sense for our residents to be able to have expanded opportunities just through the growth of units. The other opportunity is obviously the new transformation plans that have been discussed. They're in the consolidated plan. Those are, I won't say apples to apples from where the envisioned plans were, but those are our biggest properties that have the opportunity to create the kind of mixed income communities that Casey is currently seeing. And we need to make sure that, especially with Ms. Campagna's work in commercial space, that we're creating a holistic community within those transformation efforts.
Thank you. And I would echo Chair Porterfield's sentiment. I think that former council member Sledge would be an asset to this board.
Sharon.
Thank you. So, for the record, I did see Colby at a bus stop in Donaldson.
You got him in the wild?
I saw him in the wild and was like, oh my goodness. So, I guess one thing that I was thinking about kind of related to you specifically is that MDHA, I feel like, has some challenges adapting to potential solutions for issues. And I'll use an example. We went through the budget cycle. There was an innovative program that the Rafa Institute was working on that we had used, like CARES Act funding and ARP funding for specific to child care. And he Travis Claybrook ran into a number of issues kind of related to kind of standing that program up, payment for residents related to child care and expansion of child care and training and those kinds of things. And so I kind of look at you as like, maybe you could build some bridges into like being more innovative or looking for solutions that will help some of these innovative programs that are working in other cities kind of be implemented here more successfully. And so I guess, assuming you're appointed, I would recommend reaching out to Travis. Happy to connect you if you don't already know him, to talk specifically about his experiences. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is that, and I don't know if the statistic is still current, but like evictions in MDHA properties are very, very high. And some of the stories are crazy. And a lot of it has to do with communication, I think, and how residents are receiving information, about kind of the issues that they may have, whether it's like being in arrears on rent, that kind of thing. And so I'd really love to see some, improved, what does that look like to help kind of stem, the flow of evictions coming from MDHA properties. And so I'm hopeful that you could kind of be a leader in that space too, if that's something that's of interest to you. I don't know that it's been, there's been as much interest, I guess. And I will say I haven't had time to kind of go advocate the way I would like to on these issues, but if that's something that you're interested in, if you're able to pursue it, whatever it looks like, or if that's even on your radar.
No, absolutely. As a council member, that was same experience as you've probably had, where you get the call from the constituent who is about 10 days out or less from getting evicted from an MDHA property. And yeah, I think that's right. I think the communication is an issue sometimes. I think in the experiences that I had, it was also just people didn't know where to turn and they just froze, right? And they froze for too long. And that's totally understandable when you're at a point of not knowing what solutions are there, where to turn to, or who to turn to. So yes, I would want to be that conduit and work with the department to figure out, hey, where are the communications breaking down here, and how do we best communicate also to residents, hey, here are the responsibilities and requirements of the organization, the responsibilities and requirements of the residents, and when those two things are in conflict, how can we resolve those with the end being, hopefully, keeping that resident in their unit.
Thank you.
Councilmember Pope.
Thank you so much, Chair, for acknowledging me, even though I'm not on the committee. I am in full support of my predecessor, and I'm so excited that that Colby will take time to serve on the MDHA board, and I think that I totally agree with Chair Porterfield. He is an expert in affordable housing. We need that. We need to find solutions, and I'm looking forward to working with him more.
Any other questions or comments?
I want to echo everything everybody has said so far. Especially, I think you'll be great at this. You have a reputation as valuing, our constituents, our Nashvillians who really need a leg up, and I know that you'll take this seriously, and that you will say things that need to be said, even if they're not easy to say sometimes. And I want to echo what Councilmember Evans said about childcare. And I've had a number of conversations with MDHA folks, and I think they're open to more solutions. I mean, some of those evictions are because folks, are having childcare problems and can't get to work, or having, have trouble work, have trouble with the dynamics of family and the dynamics of work. And so I think there are some solutions there that have been thought about, but haven't really been fleshed out in terms of, some home child care, or some, sharing home child care, or in new developments, finding space that can be used for it. And I think that's something that, even though it's not housing, it's just critical to being able to afford housing. So when I saw the announcement come out, I was very excited. I think this is a great position for you.
I feel like we need a Colby chant after that.
Colby.
It looks a little bit more relaxed than he did when he was on council. He's got sons.
Any other comments or questions from the committee? All right, seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much. Okay. Now we move to the Property Standards Appeal Board. Consideration of nominees to fill one vacancy for a term expiring on August 6, 2028, with an election to be held at the September 17, 2024 council meeting. First up is the appointment or the nomination by Councilmember Huffman of John Bennett. Mr. Bennett, thank you for being here. Would you like a bus pass or a parking ballot?
I would love a parking pass, yes, thank you very much.
And is Councilmember Huffman around, or is he in committee currently? While we are looking for Councilmember Huffman, just seeing if he wanted to speak on your behalf for the appointment, we'll get rolling. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
And are you currently registered to vote?
Yes.
And would you be able to meet the time commitment for the Property Standards Appeals Board?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve on this board.
Okay. So I've done a lot of community involvement and coordination in my local community, Donaldson Hermitage, over the last probably 20 years. But I really want to take it and be Nashville as a whole. I have a lot of interest in our city. I've lived here 38 years, married to a lady who's a native, so we're very implanted in Nashville. And as I see the growth, I want to have an input in that and try to help us do it the right way and make the city as good as it can be. So to be a servant in the capacity of Nashville as a whole would be an honor. And I'd love to take the 28 years of banking that I have in Nashville and pull from that experience. I think I've got a lot of assets to bring to the board.
And then we'll pause really quickly to allow Councilmember Huffman to speak to his nominee if he wishes to.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all recognize me. I've had the pleasure of nominating Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett is a D14 constituent and a proud member of the Hermitage community. I think he brings a lot of experience to this position and would serve it well. He's probably spoke about his banking experience and how that would be relevant, so can't say enough good things about him.
Thank you so
That's
much.
it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And then, so in this role, would you be willing to commit to promoting equity as you serve on this board?
Definitely.
Questions from the committee?
I don't really have a question as much as Mr. Bennett was in District 12 before redistricting, and so we're familiar with him because I'm also in the banking space in my day job. But then as well with his involvement with Leadership Donaldson Hermitage, which is now known as Elevate, and the chamber and those kinds of things. So didn't really get to see much of you in person last term because of COVID. But at the same time, I echo Councilmember Huffman's sentiments about his capabilities.
Thank you. Anything else from the committee? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have the nomination by Councilmember Toombs to Quinta Martin. Ms. Martin?
Chair, Councilmember Toombs did submit a letter, and I do have
Yes. Ms. Martin, would you like a bus pass or a parking validation?
Validation, please. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for being here. We'll start. I'll just Popa, if you want to start with the.
Yes, Councilmember Toombs was unable to make it to committee today. She did send word that she submitted a letter in support of Ms. Martin, and she did want everyone to know that she fully supports her and that she is the bomb.com.
Perfect, wonderful. Ms. Martin, are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes, I am.
And are you a registered voter?
Yes, I am.
And will you be able to commit? Will you be able to meet the time commitment to serve on this board?
Yes, I will.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
Well, I have been engaged in the last, I would say, particularly 10 years with working in different areas in the city in support of citizen advocacy for different programs. For instance, I've been involved in 2 neighborhood development plans, the Nashville Next Plan for Bordeaux North Nashville as well as for the Edge Hill District. And I'm also was a 3-year member, participant, and leader in the participatory budgeting program for 2021. I was a budget delegate leader. 2022, I was the chairman of the steering committee. 2023, I was the facilitator for the steering committee for the citywide that we had this past time. I also have, I've been a officer on my neighborhood association, which is in North Nashville. It's in right off of Trinity Lane, where we have a lot of development going on in the area. And so as the president, and I've been the president now for going into the 3rd term, I have been working with my neighborhood. First we got a conservation overlay, historic conservation overlay for the neighborhood to keep the neighborhood intact. I've worked with the Historic Commission so that we can make sure that we are following the property standards that the neighborhood has set up, as well as I've also been engaged in working with the different developments that have come to the area and trying to make sure that they also respect the concerns of the community. And then I've also been on the Neighbor to Neighborhood program. I was a leader in their activities. I spoke at a conference for them regarding how to get along with developers, how to get along with your neighbors, how to get your neighborhood to be a more active and engaged community. So I've had a lot of experience, that I would say, in trying to get the citizens of the community who have concerns to address those in a proper forum. I've attended several zoning commission meetings and short-term rental commission meetings and spoken each of those. So I feel like that, I can bring something to the table with regards to maintaining the actual goals of the Property Standards Commission with regards to addressing for the citizens.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, I'll just say your experience speaks for itself, so thank you. Thank you for your willingness to serve. It's definitely very impressive. All right, we'll move to a vote if there are no questions or comments. All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, and so now we go to the nomination by Councilmember Webb of Jayla Thomas.
Ready for me to speak?
Yeah, we'll start with you, Councilmember
Okay.
Webb. Yes.
Oh, about a year ago, I haven't known Jayla too long, but about a year ago, we were at a mutual friend's dinner. I met her. I was impressed. We became friends. I've stayed in touch with her. She's got management background. She's just a knowledge. She's got a biology background. She's just one of many talents. She reached out to me about a month ago and said, I want to get more involved. I want to serve the community. There's a couple boards I would be interested in. Would you be interested in nominating me? And I'm like, wow, good prospects don't come along too often. And I'm like, well, yes. And, I was like thrilled that she called. She doesn't live in my district, but she reached out to me, and this is one of the ones that she wanted to serve on. And I said, absolutely, I think you'll be a good fit. So I nominated her.
Awesome. Thank you, Councilmember Webb. And thank you, Jayla, for being proactive and wanting to serve.
Thank you.
So, yes, we'll start out. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes, sir.
And are you registered to vote?
Yes.
And will you be able to meet the time commitment for this board?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about why you want to serve.
Okay, so I was gonna wait until, I was a little bit older, more seasoned, if you will, because obviously I don't have any 50 years experience or anything. But what I do have is from my background is in biological sciences. I had a minor in chemistry, and I always say that math and science taught me systems, right? So I got involved. I was a church planter, right? You need systems to create churches. What does that mean? That literally means you go into communities where there's a need, right? We were in New York, so crazy. And we were actually just building a community, serving, giving back and those kind of things. So we planted 2 churches in New York. We went to Marietta, Georgia. We planted one there. And when I moved to the Houston area, we planted one there. And this was a little bit before COVID, and I saw a strong need, so we created a nonprofit. And when actually COVID hit, this was because we moved here brunt of COVID, right? We started an initiative called Find Them, Feed Them, because people would stop feeding the homeless because they thought they were contaminated, Sorry, that's not funny. So we would go out, find the homeless people, and actually give them food and those kind of things. And when we moved to Nashville, we saw the growth. And I'm from Las Vegas originally, and I saw how fast people grow. And people start to cut corners and do crazy things when they're trying to grow fast, right? And I know a lot of people are joking and calling this Nash Vegas, and trying to make it a little New York. But I see that if you actually take time and you actually, invest in the community and you do things the right way, I feel like that's very important. So I thought, I have time. We're business owners, so I have all the time. I just had some babies, so I said I want to get back into society and serve where I can.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Can I have a parking
Oh,
pass?
yes, I'm so sorry. See, proactive, we like it.
Oh, keep it, sorry. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
now
you.
we move to the Short-Term Rental Appeals Board, consideration of nominees to fill one vacancy with a term expiring on August 10th, 2028, with an election to be held at the September 17th, 2024 council meeting. Councilmember Webb just left, but so first we have a nomination by Councilmember Webb for Zach.
Withdrawn. Oh, withdrawn.
Withdrawn, okay. Thank you. So next we have a nomination by Chair Evans for Matt Ingram. Ingram, thank you for being here. Would you like a parking pass or a please? And Mr. Ingram, are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Affirmative.
And are you registered to vote?
Affirmative.
And will you be able to meet the time commitment for the short-term?
Affirmative.
Perfect. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
Yeah, so, you know, being one of the few rare native Nashvillians here, looking for another way to get back into the community and serve. I'd spent some time as a steering committee member with PB, so that was a great way to get back into that community involvement, give back, especially when it got down to the granular level of projects within the district. My professional background going, you know, from HR with finance and a contract background really leads me to that experience to be able to fully get in and review with an unbiased opinion for any of these appeals and kind of take the HR investigative approach to it of gathering the facts, do the fact finding, and then, you know, hear out the party in their complaint and make the appropriate determination there, while, you know, keeping the good players acting in good faith and weeding out the bad players so Nashville does not become just this playground for all bad STR operators.
Fair enough. Chair Evans, do you want to speak to your nomination?
Sure. So I have known Matt for about, I guess, 5-6 years now, but my husband has known Matt since he was about 16, which is a long time. But one thing I have really appreciated about Matt is his career focus, especially on the HR side, in particular to just what he spoke about, really related to the ability to look at issues objectively related to employment and all the legal issues that come with employment, and being able to review kind of case information. So I think he would be really well suited for this. I'm not totally sure why, you know, I look at this one as like, it doesn't seem all that exciting to me, but at the same time, everybody likes different things, and so wanted to support him by nominating him for this particular board since he's interested.
Any questions from the committee?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Because have you watched any of these meetings?
I sure have.
Okay, and what did you think that, what did you like about the meetings? What did you not like? Were there things that you, I guess from an observer's perspective, that you thought?
No, I think one of the things that struck me as being favorable was being able, you know, watching their process of going through that investigative, there we go, process. You know, hearing out the appellant and just listening to their side, and then looking at the facts in front of them and just kind of piecing together the different scenarios of why this, you know, and what happened. From a procedural side, you know, they have some buttoning up that, you know, I felt that could be done. Some inconsistencies from meeting to meeting from the chair just seemed like there were just a few areas of improvement. And, you know, with with my background in, you know, HR, that pointing out where there can be some betterment of policies or procedures, I feel could lead a hand in.
Thank you. Appreciate that, thank you. Anything else from the committee? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, next we have the nomination by Councilmember Vo for Raymond Simmons. Mr. Simmons, thank you for being here. Would you like a bus pass or a parking validation?
Yes, please. Parking validation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And are you currently a Davidson County resident?
I am.
Okay. And currently registered to vote?
I am.
And will you be able to meet the time commitment for this specific board?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
Yeah, so I am definitely a very dedicated community member in the Edge Hill neighborhood of District 17. As you may know, Edge Hill, or District 17, has has the second highest number of STRs, 14% of the 7,000 permits in Nashville. And I think it's important to have someone from the community who sits alongside STR owners and long-term residents have an opportunity to weigh in on these STR appeals.
Perfect. And Councilmember Vo, do you want to speak to your nominee?
Sure, thank you so much, Chair, for recognizing me. I am committed to increasing the number of District 17 constituents who serve on our boards and commissions. Ramon was proactive and let me know, he'd like to serve on a board, and then whenever various openings came up, I always share them with people who are interested. And he was very excited about this, and he's already shown his commitment in my time of knowing him, of starting up their neighborhood association. I went to it recently, and they had so many neighbors, family, kids, pets, everything. And I think that's really important, is having a community advocate. I know the STR Appeals Board can be very contentious, and I really believe that Ramon has the skill set and the dedication to serve, objectively on the board, and to be a really great asset to it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the committee? I'll just say that you've got an extensive resume that's got a lot of really good good experience, especially with one of the things that we're working on and wanting to include is that we have folks who have a demonstrated ability to advocate for and push for equity on our boards, and specifically how we're administering housing in the city, because that's something that that really is affecting everybody across the board with specific residential uses and STRs. So I will echo Councilmember Vo and think that you would be a great asset. So
thank you.
Anything else from the committee? All right, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got 2 more. Social Service Commission appointment of Charlotte Peacock for a term expiring on July 20th, 2029. Yes. Ms. Peacock, thank you so much for being here. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
And I just now realized I've been asking these questions wrong. Do you currently serve on any other boards or commissions?
So I serve on the National Health and Wellbeing Council.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no Metro board. Okay.
Right, Metro.
And will you be able to meet the time commitment for the Social Service Commission? Perfect. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
So I've already served. I served a partial term and then a full term, so this will be, I guess, the last time I can serve. But the work they do is absolutely awesome. Working with Director Pratt, we've done a lot of great things, but we still got a lot of work to do. So excited to see with the new move, the location. We actually have a PR person now, so we're trying to reach more people. So we still got a lot of work to do. So.
And so what would be one of the things that you would want to achieve in this next term?
I think we need to achieve in getting the word out to more people. Hispanic, we had a great back to school, which we partnered with a Hispanic radio station. So, I mean, it was huge. It was wonderful. So I think we have more opportunity to reach more people.
Perfect. Anything from the committee?
I'll just say that I've been to the new location, I went to the back to school event, y'all did really an amazing job. And to your point, it was so busy, I'm not sure you could have had more people attend, but at the same time, it was really well attended, you did an excellent job. And I know that it took the support of all of you, staff members and board members and everything to participate.
So many backpacks in my life, but it
Yeah,
was
right,
it was
exactly, exactly.
wonderful.
Yeah, so thank you for being willing to serve
Oh,
again.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, anything else from the committee? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much. Okay, and so now we move to the Stormwater Management Commission appointment of Fiona Halter Abbott for a term expiring on July 8th, 2025. Ms. Abbott, would you like a parking validation or a bus pass?
Parking, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
And do you serve on any other boards or metro boards or commissions other than this one? Okay. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve on this specific.
I'm really excited to serve my community. I've been in Nashville for about 17 years, and my career, a little over 22 years, has been in the built environment. The first half in stormwater design, site design, and then managing highway and site crews on the construction side, and then also corporate real estate and development. So I'm hoping to use that knowledge to serve in the community I live.
Perfect. So one of the things as far as stormwater management goes is, in my district specifically, is given the amount of development that we've experienced, and with the amount of non-permeable services that we've increased across the county, is we're experiencing higher rates of flooding events that are straining our capacity. I'm just curious, sort of what your viewpoint is on how we as a city can do better at managing our stormwater infrastructure, especially as we're experiencing climate change and there's going to be increased mass weather events like that.
That's such a loaded question. I mean, I'm just going to be very candid. We need to, I know that it's very complicated. There are certain things involved where, I'm going to say the dreaded impact tax. We have the stormwater tax, but we need to invest in our infrastructure as a city. I mean, not just from the private development side, but as a city. And it's sometimes not sexy until something happens catastrophic. Oh, no. I mean, and so I think it's a balance. I mean, there are very specific rules and regulations that mandate what developments have to go through. But it's also, they are tying into a system that is struggling, candidly.
Yeah, thanks. So with the increased, as our chair talked about, the infill development, that has expanded in the impervious surface. Do you have any thoughts on potential solutions? I know they're all costly, right? Is there, we hear more maintenance, more improvements as you triple the impervious surface, more work on those individual infill developments. Any thoughts, or you've been in this space for a while, what are your observations?
So most of the infill that you are developing, and I have done Park West, dealt with the Beeman site, large infill, Sinclair, most of those are actually almost 100% impervious to begin with. So you're not actually increasing runoff. You are getting into having to treat for water quality, which is separate, right? Quality and quantity. There's also a lot of more suburban development going on. I think this is a bigger issue than just development. I wish there was a mechanism that we candidly, I've developed in over 10 states. There are impact taxes that you pay in all of those places. And so you are contributing to a greater pot of money to help, but also doing what you need to do related to your site. But you know that as a developer, and you can go in and underwrite it. We don't have that luxury here as a community, and so there has to be some bigger infrastructure investment. And I'm not saying put that on developers. Candidly, when I was on the development side, still am, there were many things that you're pushing, and it's, again, you're not increasing the impervious, candidly. And so it's a much larger issue for our city ahead. I mean, and I think we all know that.
Well, yeah, so I'm in West Mead area. So in that case, we are actually increasing the impervious surface. You're taking a 2,000 square foot house and you're making it 6,000 plus, plus, plus. So, and on hilly areas. So it is a problem. It's just a matter of, I didn't know if you had some,
I don't
silver bullets that you think could possibly help prevent that by maybe an improved, diversion of water runoff from these larger developments.
And I don't want to speak out of turn because I've not done single family residential. Okay. I know that, maybe I can phone a friend, Logan, that, as they go by law, water quality, I know is mandated over a certain percentage, water quantity is not. Sure. And so when you have one-off lots, that is where you are potentially increasing the impervious, but they're not being held to the same standards that larger developments are. Again, these are rules that come from a much larger entity than Nashville, and so I look forward to serving and hearing each individual case on the merits and how they stack up against those rules.
Yeah, I would just, I've been working around this for 2 or 3 years, and we need help. We know there's money that needs to be supported, but we're seeing tremendous incremental flooding. Yeah. So,
just want to give an opportunity to Metro Water to speak if you want to. You don't have to, but just wanted to give you an opportunity if you wanted to just introduce yourself and say your name for the record and speak to the nominee.
My name is Logan Bowman. I'm the Secretary of the Stormwater Management Commission. Really happy to have Ms. Abbott be a great asset to us.
Councilmember Johnston.
Thank you. Well, you're obviously very knowledgeable, and I appreciate you being willing to work in this space. The 2021 flood was concentrated in my area. My district was hit probably the hardest. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. And a lot of what we learned, first of all, there were a lot of homes in my neighborhood and in my district that were built in what is now been identified as a floodplain. When they were built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, that wasn't studied at the time, so I think that's contributed. But also we have a natural stormwater infrastructure that we're not maintaining properly. And what you can go into my district and talk, because we've spent a lot of time and a lot of effort on clearing out our creeks and streams and making sure that we're maintaining those. And I think that's something when I have elderly people come up to me and say, thank you for all the work that you all have done with our creeks and streams, because I'm not scared anymore every time it rains, because I don't see that swelling of the creek in my backyard anymore. So that just goes to show you that regular maintenance, I think, really does help, but you have to stay on top of that. And right now, I don't know of anything on the books that requires that regular maintenance and communication with constituents to help them to understand that if there is a tree that falls across the creek that's in their backyard, it is incumbent upon them to communicate with us, so that, because we will come and remove that. But there's lots of trash. There's so many things that when we do have those big rain events, that it compacts, and so you get up against a bridge culvert, and guess what happens? All that trash or logs or whatever it is comes, and the water's not able to flow the way that it should, and that's when you get these major flooding events. And so I know it requires money. It obviously all comes down to money, because we have to pay people to do that, to go through and do regular sort of audits of these creeks and streams to make sure that they're operating, that they are functioning properly and they're cleaned out, and to have things like what are they called? The trash. They look like tubes that go. What are they called?
Culverts?
No. Socks. No, you put them in the creek and it catches the trash. What are they called? They have them in 7 Mile.
Sediment base, like.
No, it looks like a yellow sort of tube, and it just catches the stuff, and they come remove it. But things like that, where you're not actively having to do, just sort of passively collecting those things as they are flowing through. Just things like that to make sure that the natural stormwater infrastructure that we have is being maintained. Ditch redefinement, I think, is important. We've really focused on that in District 26, and it's made an impact. So all of those things, when I hear people literally say thank you because I'm not scared anymore, that's when you know what you're doing is working, and when these creeks and streams are in your yard. So that's what I would like to see, is some type of program, and again, it comes down to money and manpower and all those things, where we are regularly auditing those creeks and streams, communicating with constituents to let them know that they can communicate with us. That is gonna have a huge impact, just like policies around infill, all those types of things. But the regular maintenance, I think, is hugely important.
Thank you for that.
Councilmember Cash.
I just want to say Ms. Abbott is a constituent of mine, but even before that, she worked on a project when I was neighborhood association president and was always very common sense and open to working with neighbors and making the project we were working on the best it could be, addressing their concerns. And also a little bit as a neighborhood president, I was part of the negotiations, I guess. And then when I became council person, it was being built, and she was still very responsive and reached out, helped me work on concerns that neighbors had. I think she'll be a great asset to the Stormwater Commission.
Anything else from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we move to boards and commission confirmation. So candidates in this category will be subject to a recommendation vote by the Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee and confirmed by the council. I'm going to put all of these on consent and read them into the record. If there's anybody that you all wish for me to remove from consent, let me know. Item 17, Art Commission appointment of Jayla Khalil for a term expiring on January 1st, 2027. Arts Commission appointment of Sean Knight for a term expiring on January 1st, 2027. The Farmers Market Board appointment of Patricia Turkina, thank you, for a term expiring on July 5th, 2029. Hospital Authority Board appointment of David Escabel for a term expiring on July 11th, 2029. Tourism and Convention Commission appointment of Drs. Sybil Brown for a term expiring on June 30th, 2027. Tourism Convention Commission appointment of Derek Free for a term expiring on June 30th, 2027. Not on consent. Is there anybody from whom should be removed from consent? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. And so for the appointment of Dr. Nettles, we need a motion for a 1-meeting deferral.
So moved. Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Of those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting?
Why are we deferring?
There are questions from the administration that they are working on ensuring that are answered for the council before moving forward.
Okay.
So.
Sorry.
No, you're more than all right. And so that concludes our agenda for today. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, and without an objection, we stand adjourned.